Weaving an Armenian carpet is a long process that requires patience and precision. It can take up to 1 year to complete a rug, with usually 2 weavers working on a carpet at the same time. Weavers use a traditional double knot technique to make the carpets and use organic ingredients like roots and flowers to dye the wool. The century-old tradition almost disappeared in the 1900s, but artisans kept rug weaving alive, passing the craft from generation to generation. Coming up, our team visits a rug weaving center in Armenia that still uses traditional methods. But first, a little history to help illustrate why it is so remarkable that this tradition survived. This is Business Insider Today.
Armenia is a small country in the Caucasus, the part of the world that bridges Russia with Iran. It's where ancient trade routes connected east and west, but also the site of one of the earlier genocides of the 20th century. At the time, most Armenians lived in the Ottoman Empire. They were a small but significant Christian minority in mostly Muslim lands. From 1915 to 1918, it's estimated 1.5 million Armenians were killed by the Ottomans. Some survivors ended up close to home in places like Iran, Syria, and Lebanon, but others fled across the globe to Australia, Argentina, and Ethiopia. Many Armenians fleeing the genocide ended up in the United States, creating communities that still exist today in Glendale, California, and Watertown, Massachusetts. They held on to their heritage through religion, dance, art, and recipes. Armenia remained a faraway land to many of their children and grandchildren, a place that was important to remember, but inaccessible and potentially dangerous. Yet while Armenian culture flourished abroad, Armenia itself continued to evolve. Armenia gained independence briefly as the Ottoman Empire fell at the end of World War I, only to become part of the Soviet Union from 1922 to 1991. And in the decades since the fall of the Soviet Union, Armenians around the world have slowly begun to return home. Insider video producer Caroline Agajanian grew up in an Armenian-American family in California and traveled to Armenia for the first time just a few months ago. She visited a rug weaver to learn how the tradition has survived over the years and had a chance to try the technique herself.
Rug weaving is an ancient tradition in Armenia dating back to at least the 7th century BC. Weavers use a traditional Armenian double knot technique and dye the wool with organic ingredients. But about a century ago, this art was almost lost as a result of the Armenian genocide by the Ottoman Empire in 1915. The technique came under threat again when the Soviet rule over Armenia led to the commercialization of it. But rug makers kept the tradition alive to this day, including the Megerian family, which has been in the rug making business since 1917. And today, they run 22 rug weaving centers in Armenia. The average 9x12 hand-woven rug from Megerian can cost anywhere from $8,500 to $25,000.
Armenian carpet weaving has been in the Armenian culture for thousands of years. The double knot technique is something passed down from generation to generation, as well as the organic dyeing and the extraction of the organic elements from different plantations from the Armenian highlands.
Red shades are extracted from madder root, and yellow shades are extracted from the immortal flower. Organic dyes create stronger colors than chemical dyes used during communist rule. Depending on the size of the rug or carpet, it usually takes about 6 months to a year and a half for 2 weavers to weave a full carpet. Traditionally, weaving is done by Armenian women.
Աշխատում եմ 50 տարի գորգագործության մեջ։ Մենք մեր հոգին ու ջանը, եռանդը, ուժը դնում ենք գորգի մեջ։ Այս տարիքին որտեղ պիտի աշխատեմ ես։ Մասնագիտությունը գիտեմ, շատ ուրախ եմ, շատ եմ սիրում իմ աշխատանքը, դրա համար գալիս եմ աշխատելու այստեղ մեծ սիրով, մեծ։ Գորգը մենք աշխատում ենք, որ ավարտում ենք, շատ ենք ուրախանում։ Գորգը որ կտրում ենք, շատ ենք ուրախանում։ Սպասում ենք հաջորդին, տեսնենք Այն ինչ դիզայնով է գալիս, որտեղ մեր աշխատանքը որ շատ ենք սիրում, լրիվ ուժ ու եռանդը դնում ենք գորգերի մեջ։
The rugs are washed to bring out the colors and designs. Then sheared to remove any excess wool, and finally stretched for at least 24 hours. The Megerian family's rug weaving facilities also has a museum, a restaurant, and a cultural center where guests can learn about traditional music, dance, and clothing. As an Armenian American visiting the country where my family came from for the first time, this tour was especially emotional.
When we really combine the dance, the old Armenian garb, the food, the ancient Armenian rugs, in this way we are trying to call the diaspora Armenians back to Armenia to come find in their motherland the roots that they have instilled in them from their great-grandparents. And quite frankly, it's not only for Armenians, because this art, this culture, it's something that has been given to the world for thousands of years, and we really invite with open arms all of our brothers and sisters across the world to come and to experience what Armenia has to offer to them.
I had the chance to weave a rug myself.
We have the knife and we have the thread. We take one string, it goes around, and you hold the short end up. Then you take the one from the left, and the short end comes in between. You pull it out, make it tight, bring it down, and then you cut it.
Okay.
Want to try?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay, right hand.
2,500 years ago, there was an Armenian woman, my age, weaving the same design, and it makes me feel so connected to my culture in a way that I've never been connected before. When this rug is complete, I'm gonna be looking at it and saying, this is the spot I put a knot in. The little imperfect spot is mine.
But you know, it's not imperfect, it's actually perfect, because by doing that double knot, you put your emotions and your soul into this rug.
You're gonna make me cry. I have so many emotions right now. Okay, well, I don't want to get my tears on this rug.
So incredible, so touching, amazing that Caroline got to do this story. It actually reminds me a lot about the story that you told me where you got to go to Haiti.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like growing up, my father's from Haiti, as Caroline has mentioned, her family is from Armenia, and you hear all of these stories about the culture and what it was like, good and bad, and to get there to see it for yourself and experience it, it's just a completely different thing. So watching her in that moment, you just knew how overwhelming it was because she was learning about her culture, but also getting to tell a beautiful story that needed to be told for the rest of the world. So it did remind me of my time there. I got to see a lot of the art and, you know, the beaches and the neighborhoods that my dad always talked about that I never thought that I would see one day when I got to take my trip.
That's amazing. Join our Facebook group and help us keep the conversation going.
And we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Business Insider Today.